Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl, adapted by Lane Zed. Once upon a time there were three farmers, August, Bunce, and Bean. One fat, one short, one lean. These farmers were nasty and mean. On a hill upon a valley there was a huge tree. Under the tree lived Mr. and Mrs. Fox and their four small foxes. Mr. Fox said, "Well, my darling, what shall it be tonight, Mrs. Fox?" And he snuck out to the farmer's farm to get dinner. But the farmers knew he was coming, so they tried to kill Mr. Fox. Suddenly, bang, bang, bang went the farmer's guns and shot off. He's okay. The foxes went down to their den, but the farmers had shovels and tried to dig them out. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch went the farmers' shovels, but the foxes outdug them. Then the farmers got big green tractors and almost dug them out, but they're okay. The foxes were digging to get away from the farmers' big green tractors, but the farmers stopped digging and left them in the deep, dark hole to starve to death. But they will be okay. The farmers have hundreds of people with guns surrounding the huge crater that the big green tractors dug out in case they see the foxes. But the foxes will be okay. Mr. Fox has a plan. The foxes start to dig the fat August's chicken house and get chickens. But the little foxes don't know where they're going. Oh no! When they got to the chicken house, Mr. Fox sent the oldest fox with three fat chickens to Mrs. Fox. Dad said to prepare a feast. The oldest fox told his mother, so they did. While the foxes were digging, they heard a noise saying, "Who goes there?" Then Badger and his oldest son popped out of a hole in the roof. "Badger," cried Mr. Fox. "Foxy," cried Badger. "Badger, will you help us dig?" asked Mr. Fox. "Of course," said Badger. Now the tunnel was moving at a terrific pace. "Soon we will find the storehouse from Bunce," said Mr. Fox. So they did. They found a wooden floorboard, and Mr. Fox carefully lifted it up and stared at all of the food. It was the greatest sight of his life, ducks and geese galore. They got bacon and ham, and the smallest fox said, "Grab some of those carrots for the rabbits." Soon the diggers hit a stone wall, and there was a tiny annoying rat in a tiny little hole. We found it," shouted Mr. Fox. "Bean's secret cider cellar." "Go away," said the rat. Then Mr. Fox said, "My dear rat, if you don't move I shall eat you," and then ran away never to be seen again. Then Badger and Mr. Fox and the small fox started to grab jars of cider. Then the animals heard a noise, thump, thump, thump. A huge old woman with a rolling pin was walking down the stairs. "Hide," said Mr. Fox. The animals jumped on the shelf and hid behind big jars of cider. The animals went down the tunnel home, and Mr. Fox started to sing. "Home again, swiftly I glide, back to my beautiful bride. She will not feel so rotten as soon as she's gotten some cider inside." Then Badger joined in. "Oh, poor Miss Badger," he cried, "so hungry she very near died. But she'll not feel so hollow if she'll only swallow some cider inside her inside." Soon they got home. The diggers were already feasting without them. But then Mrs. Fox said, "Sorry we started without you. You know we were almost dead because of starvation, so we had to start." Outside of the fox's hole was August, Bunce, and Bean. They sat beside their tents and waited, but the foxes never came out. They were too busy building their underground village and never came out. And all that I know is that they're still waiting.